Welcome to Dolphins Today by Chat Sports. I am Nic Rohloff. After a stunning night last evening against the Buffalo Bills, we are back with some injury news surrounding the Miami Dolphins, specifically a Tua Tagovailoa injury update. Mike McDaniel spoke to Dolphins reporters this morning and shedded light on some of the situation, and I wanted to share that with all the Dolphins fans today. We don't actually have legitimate updates from experts, Tua himself, and what the plan is going forward for the Miami Dolphins with Tagovailoa, but we will break down everything that was said. And we'll start with this from David Ferrones, he asked Mike McDaniel if Tua could be placed on IR. McDaniel says, I literally will not know any sort of thing either way. That's how we're operating. We know nothing because we don't. McDaniel, when asked a lot about what was happening with Tua and his concussion and what the plan is moving forward, declined to really say, but also deflected and said that I don't know. I'm not a medical expert. And because this has been such a frequent injury in terms of concussions for Tua, this makes this situation very delicate because this is his third confirmed diagnosed concussion since entering the NFL, and more specifically, over the last 3 seasons, as he had 2 in 2022. So this is a situation that will be fluid, and we'll have a lot of updates coming in and out, so make sure you are staying tuned. But also this, Cameron Wolf had it. McDaniel on Tua. His career is this. I wish people would have a second just to hear what I'm saying, because bringing up his future is not in the best interest of him. I don't think it's appropriate. I don't think it's fair that so he says, I think it's fair that his career is ultimately decided by him. And listen, I'll be honest. I was one that said what I would do if I was Tua on last night's stream. And I'm not going to sit here and try to say what I think Tua should do. I said if I was in Tua's shoes, I would probably retire. But this is ultimately Tua's career, and it's his choice. And I think that a lot of us Dolphins fans are just anxious to see what the diagnosis is in terms of how long Tua will be out, if he's stepping away from football, if the Dolphins have to look, what happens with the money. A lot of Dolphins fans are just curious, but ultimately all I want to do is make sure Tua is going to get fully healthy and have a long and healthy life outside of football. But either way, that's the small update on Tua thus far. And make sure you have your notifications turned on while you're subscribed to the channel. And if you're not subscribed, I probably tell you to do so right now, because we're going to have a lot coming up in the next couple weeks and days, honestly, about the Tua situation. So hit that sub button, join us, but also make sure you do have those notifications turned on so when we get an update, you won't miss a thing. I mean, last night was scary, man. We saw the injury, the collision with Damar Hamlin. He was down. I don't want to speculate, but he kind of threw up involuntary hand signs again, which is that quote-unquote fencing thing. Now, who knows what actually happened, right? We don't know unless you were actually in the stadium and you were there to diagnose it. But either way, it was a scary situation that I wouldn't wish on anyone, man. And specifically here, this is the second time it's happened on Thursday Night Football for Tua and the Dolphins. It happened in 2022 against the Bengals. That's when the infamous one happened, where he was stretchered off the football field. Now, in a more positive direction for Tua and the Dolphins, you see here at the screen as well. He was able to get up after a couple minutes and walk off the field under his own power. He had coaches and medical staff escorting him to the locker room, but it's not like he had his arms up around them or anything. He was walking under his own power with a little limp, very gingerly, and it was kind of clear that he wasn't all there, and that's why it was so scary. But at least he was able to get up and walk under his own power. And I just love this photo, man. This photo right here might be one of my favorite things I've ever seen as a Dolphins fan, because it's just McDaniel showing Tua love. And McDaniel actually spoke about this photo and what he said to him while he was walking off the field before he gave him a little smooch on the head, saying that, listen, you're the quarterback of your family. Go be with them. Don't worry about us. Rest up. And I just think that's awesome leadership by your head coach, Mike McDaniel. And listen, I know a lot of people are going to get on McDaniel for how that game ended up turning out last night, regardless of the Tua injury or not, because it looked like it was going to head into a Bills blowout regardless. But, man, he really has the respect of these players in locker room, and you could understand why with moments like these. All right, we're going to move on here in just a second, but I do want everyone, you guys did it on last night's video when we broke down the news initially, send your thoughts and prayers to Tua. I don't care what your opinion of him as a football player is, as a quarterback is. as just a human being. We should all come together, rally for him, and hope for him to get fully healthy because these head injuries are nothing to play with, man. We've seen too many people go off the rails due to CTE, and head injuries, so hopefully Tua is going to be all right. Coming up in just a second, we do have more Miami Dolphins injury news, specifically Terron Armstead and Jeff Wilson. We'll get to that in just a second, but we do got to show some love to one of our sponsors on today's show, and that is Game Time. Game Time is the best ticketing app, and it's because of all the cool features they have, including Game Time Picks, which makes getting tickets to see your favorite teams play live even easier. Game Time's Picks filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats, so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. They also have a really cool feature that is all-in pricing, which allows you to see your total price of the ticket up front rather than getting blindsided at checkout. There's nothing worse than purchasing a ticket, or at least thinking you're going to get a ticket for $60, and then ultimately you're about to check out and you're like, dang, it's actually like $120. That is not fun. So if you want to go see the Dolphins in the future or any event in your local area, download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code ChatSports to get $20 off. It's the best way to get your tickets. I guarantee it. Terms apply, but again, create an account and redeem code CHATSPORTS to get $20 off your first purchase. Download Game Time today. What time is it? It's Game Time. Appreciate them for sponsoring today's show. They are the best. It is in the live chat, or excuse me, just the normal description and comments of today's video. I have more to talk about here with the Dolphins and the injury news. Barry Jackson had this note. Obviously, there was more injuries outside of Tua Tagovailoa last night. Terron Armstead left the game in the second half with a shoulder injury, returned for a drive, and then went back out into the locker room. And then also Jeff Wilson left the game with an oblique injury. And the Jeff Wilson we'll touch on very quickly here because it seems like he is fine. He might miss 1 week, but it's not going to be any long-term injury for Jeff Wilson, and it's really not that concerning either way because Achane looked good last night. Jalen Wright's still there to be your RB2 if need be, and you expect Mostert to be back at least in week 4 at the very latest, according to some updates from Mike McDaniel earlier on this week, so that's not that big of a deal in my opinion. What is a bigger deal is Terron Armstead's injury, who, listen, he is so good when he's on the field, but he is the most injury-prone offensive tackle I might have ever seen. But he is also the clear-cut best offensive lineman on this team, and it's really not even close. Like, as soon as he came out of the game yesterday, it was over. And Tua was still in the game when Armstead was the drive. Like, that unbelievably bad pick six that Tua threw in the third quarter, and he was trying to heave it to the sideline, came on a play where your left side of the offensive line was Kendall Lamm at left tackle and Lester Cotton at left guard because Robert Jones also left the game with an injury / got benched. Either way, Robert Jones was getting abused by Ed Oliver last night. So if it wasn't an injury, he should have probably been off the football field either way. But Armstead being out kills this Dolphins team because he is so good. And unfortunately, the Dolphins have had to prepare for this for a long time. And because he's always hurt. And they drafted Patrick Paul out of Houston in the second round to be potentially that starting left tackle of the future and depth piece for Terron Armstead. But Patrick Paul didn't even play last night when he came out. It was Kendall Lamm getting the first opportunity to be the left tackle for Tua Tagovailoa and Skylar Thompson. And Mike McDaniel was actually asked about that at the press conference today and alleviate some questions from Tua. And he said that he didn't want to throw the rookie into that situation against a really good defensive line where you're passing every play, the defense knows it, and they can really get after you. And he just didn't want to set him up for failure in that specific situation, which I do understand. But it is interesting to me that they went with Lamm over Patrick Paul because they drafted Patrick Paul to be the left tackle of the future. And I got to be honest, if I am the Dolphins, I am probably going to plan to play Patrick Paul if Armstead's out for an extended period of time. That's how I feel on the matter. If he ultimately is out for a week or 2 weeks with that shoulder injury, doesn't sound like it's season ending according to head coach Mike McDaniel. So to me, I would go with Patrick Paul in the future. Are you concerned about Terron Armstead's injury? Let me know. Type Y for yes, type N for no. Like I said just a second ago, it doesn't seem to be a long-term injury, at least according to Mike McDaniel at his press conference today, but it does feel like he will miss at least some time. Let me know if you are concerned. And make sure you are subscribed to the channel because we're going to break down everything here at Chat Sports. Dolphins Today, we have you covered with Tua, Terron Armstead, every other thing with the Miami Dolphins. We'll be back with another video over the weekend. So make sure you are subscribed and tune in for that because there's a lot of stuff that's going to happen around this football team.